The sound of a 90-pound Akita knocking a toddler to the floor is unmistakable. Sarah heard it from the kitchen, that heavy, dull thud that makes every parent's blood stop. She dropped the dish towel and ran. Bear had Ethan pinned. The toddler was flat on the carpet, face up, the dog's massive head lowered directly over the child's face. Ethan was crying, not screaming, just that confused, frightened cry that meant something hurt. But nothing was broken yet. Bear, no. Sarah grabbed the dog's collar and pulled hard. Bear resisted. For the first time since they'd brought him home 3 years ago, he didn't obey immediately. His body was rigid. His eyes stayed locked on Ethan. She pulled harder. The dog finally stepped back, but slowly, reluctantly. Ethan sat up, tears streaming, reaching for Sarah. No visible injuries, no blood, just scared. But that sound, that thud, that had been real. She scooped Ethan up and carried the toddler to the couch, heart still racing. Bear stood exactly where she'd pulled him, staring at them both. His tail wasn't wagging. His ears were forward, alert, not guilty, not ashamed, just watching. When David got home that evening, Sarah was still shaken. She explained what happened. The sound, the way Bear had Ethan on the floor, the way he wouldn't move when she called him. David knelt down and checked Ethan carefully. No bruises, no bumps. The toddler was already playing again, completely fine. But Sarah wasn't fine. He's never done anything like that, David said. I know. That's what scares me. David looked at Bear. The dog sat in the corner of the living room, eyes moving between David and Ethan. Calm, steady. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe Ethan startled him. It didn't feel like an accident. It felt deliberate. That night, they kept Bear in the laundry room while Ethan slept. It felt wrong. He'd never been locked away before, but Sarah couldn't shake the image of that moment. The weight of the dog on top of their child. The next morning, it happened again. Sarah was changing Ethan's diaper when Bear came into the nursery. He walked directly to the changing table and pressed his nose against Ethan's face, not sniffing. Pressing. Bear. Back. Now. Still nothing. She physically pushed him away. He took 2 steps back, then immediately moved forward again, nose going straight to Ethan's mouth. Sarah's patience snapped. Out. Now. Bear finally left, but only after she raised her voice to a level that made Ethan start crying. That afternoon, Sarah called the vet. The vet listened carefully, asked questions. How old was Bear? Had there been any other behavior changes? Any aggression toward other people? No, just Ethan. The vet was quiet for a moment, then said, "It might be stress. Sometimes dogs react unpredictably when there's a baby in the house, especially if they were used to being the center of attention." Sarah thanked her and hung up. By that evening, she'd made the decision. Bear couldn't stay. David didn't want to believe it. He'd raised Bear from a puppy, trained him, trusted him. But he'd also seen the fear in Sarah's face. He'd heard the description of that moment, the dog on top of their child, refusing to move. They agreed to call a rescue organization in the morning. That night, Bear slept in the garage. Sarah lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. She felt guilty. She felt scared. She felt like she was betraying a family member. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw Bear's head hovering over Ethan's face, and her chest tightened. At 2:47 a.m., the baby monitor lit up. Ethan was crying, not the usual fussy cry. Something else, a strange, weak sound. Sarah sat up immediately and grabbed her phone. The video feed showed Ethan in the crib, barely moving. She ran. David was right behind her. When they opened the nursery door, Bear was already inside. He'd somehow gotten out of the garage, somehow made it through the house, somehow opened the nursery door, or it hadn't latched. He was standing on his back legs, front paws on the crib rail, nose pressed against Ethan's face. "Bear, get back!" David grabbed the dog and pulled him away. Sarah reached into the crib and lifted Ethan. The toddler's skin was pale, cold. The crying had stopped. Something's wrong. The paramedics arrived in 6 minutes. One of them took Ethan from Sarah's arms, checked vitals, asked rapid-fire questions. When did this start? Any fever? Any vomiting? Any known allergies? The second paramedic noticed Bear. He was standing in the hallway, completely still, eyes fixed on Ethan. Has the dog been acting strange? Sarah nodded, barely able to speak. Yes, for 2 days. The paramedic looked at Ethan again, looked at Bear, then looked at Sarah. We need to get to the hospital now. At the ER, a doctor examined Ethan thoroughly. Blood tests, monitoring, questions. Then she came back into the room with a printout and a very serious expression. Your Ison's airway was partially blocked. The doctor continued, her voice calm but firm. Another 8 minutes and we would be having a very different conversation. She looked at both parents. What made you bring him in tonight? The pale skin. The doctor nodded slowly. And the dog? Dogs can detect breathing obstruction before we can. It's documented. The change in scent, in breath chemistry, they pick it up long before symptoms are visible to us. He was trying to tell you. When they brought Ethan home 3 days later, Bear was waiting by the door. Sarah knelt down and put her arms around his neck. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. That night, Ethan slept in the crib. Bear slept on the floor beside it. No one asked him to. He just did.